Resident Evil is a prime example of an early gaming titan that has gone through multiple iterations, and yet somehow has always remained relevant, from its early peaks with the first two PS1 games to its middling valleys of the 7th generation entries. And as a fan of the franchise who first came into contact with the series through Resident Evil 5, I can proudly say that I have beaten every mainline title. Not that one. I've beaten every mainline numbered title. 1 through 8. The point is, I have played Resident Evil 1 through 8 in some form or another, and I am only better for it. However, I have only accomplished this through a way of gaming that is often looked down on as a bitter vacuum of creative expression that silos game development into greedy cash grab tactics in order to produce the most valuable, market-accessible, revenue-generating, artistically devoid, and manipulative forms of game design. I am, of course, talking about the remake. Now, I might have been using hyperbole in that description, but in all honesty, I understand why remakes are so heavily criticized. They are, essentially, just a repackaged game you've already played, usually being sold at full price, and occasionally little more than a slight visual upgrade. But in the modern era, remakes can be so much more. In fact, I would even argue they can be just as revolutionary and innovative as their original titles were. Hell, I might even say that more often than not, there's a good chance that they even provide a valid substitute to the original as the best way to play a game. Or maybe even have the opportunity to be better than it used to be. With this video, I aim to explore just that in the inaugural episode of The Penny Drop. Putting a quick pause on this video just to say that this is a clip from a longer video titled The Penny Drop, which is a series in which I break down different ideas and concepts in video games. This one was focused on, of course, video game remakes. The link is in the description down below if you'd like to watch the full video, and of course there will be a card up in the corner, one of these corners here, that you can click on right now that'll lead you to that video. Please go check out the full video, give it a like, comment your opinions on it. I put a lot of hard work into this video, and I'd really appreciate it if you check the whole thing out. Thank you so much. And now, returning to the video. I want more remakes. Call me a corporate bootlicker all you want, but I love a good remake. Hell, my top 10 games of 2023 and 2024 has not one, but 2 remakes on them. Dead Space, Demon's Souls, Persona 3 Reload, Link's Awakening, Super Mario RPG. The list goes on and on of great games that had debatably even greater moments the second time around. Whether it's from the technical performances of these titles, more refined experiences from the original, or a whole new experience crafted with modern audiences in mind. The remake is a great tool for gamers to discover and fall in love with classic titles lost to time, or for long-term fans to rediscover their passion for games that they haven't revisited in years. To return to my example of Resident Evil, without the remakes of RE 1 through 3, there would be little to no option for me to experience the thrills and horrors of the Spencer Mansion, the RCPD, or the apocalyptic streets of Raccoon City. That is, without having to spend hundreds of dollars tracking down old hardware, finding copies of what are probably damaged discs or spotty emulations. That would be more work than I'm willing to commit to play these dated horror classics. But all of that changed in 2019, when Capcom released the Resident Evil 2 remake. It's worth noting, at the time, I'd only played 5, 6, and 7, which 2 of those aren't necessarily considered the crown jewels of the series. I hadn't really considered myself a fan yet. More of someone who enjoyed an occasional Resident Evil game. But RE2 instantly enraptured me in its world and was a truly exhilarating and horrifying experience. I remember the first night playing it, making it all the way to the introduction of the liquor, and being so scared that I couldn't even bring myself to fight it. I squeaked past the door to the pitch black hall, rain and wind pouring in from a broken window, lightning illuminating a tapestry of blood and bodies decorating the hall. Suddenly, just as quick as the lightning struck, a horrific tongue lashes out from above and entraps a body laying below, snatching it to the monster lurking in the shadows. The liquor had made its debut. Fear envelops me. Instead of blasting or sneaking past the foe, I duck into the STARS office to hide and collect myself. I remember collecting items in a panic, desperately trying to arm myself for the inevitable. When I finally mustered up the courage to face the iconic monster and come out of the office, it wasn't there. Gone, nowhere to be seen. My eyes immediately locked onto a bloody vent in the ceiling. I pulled out my shotgun and zeroed in on the vent. Convinced that the liquor would eventually leap from its shadows and attack, tension built in me indefinitely. eyes locked to the hellish hole. As I made it to the corner of the hall, I discovered my cautious assumption had revealed itself to be a terrifying red herring. The beast was not inside the vent. Rather, attached to the wall just out of sight, landing me face to face with the deliciously terrible monster. Because of this subversion of expectation, I was pissing myself all over again. I was terrified, and it was the closest I had come to sleeping with the lights on after playing a video game. I mean, come on, they even made the blood look like it had just dragged one of its victims into that vent I was so certain it had fled to. The reason I tell this story is because after my first play session, I went online to see the Licker's introduction in the original game. Yeah, not exactly the same effect in comparison. Don't get me wrong, I still think the original games hold their fair share of scares. This was proven to me when I played the Resident Evil 1 remake later on down the line. It's just that its horror comes from its atmosphere and surprise from cuts between fixed camera angles, rather than its grotesque monsters and blood. But in its remade form, Resident Evil 2 allowed me, as someone with a casual interest in the games, to become a full-blown fan, instantly wanting to explore every nook and cranny of the terrifying Raccoon City Police Department. And when I had seen all that RE2 had to give, I was hungry for more. I then went on a campaign to play every mainline title I could and experience them in whatever form they came. First person, fixed camera, or over the shoulder. I was in love with Resident Evil, and to this day, I still thirst for more. This would not have been possible without the remake. There are many more examples of remakes, some good, some bad, and while they don't always necessarily pan out or stay true to the vision of the original game, there are many examples of how a remake can reinvigorate old fans, convert new ones, or simply allow space for a whole new group of players. Yes, they aren't original titles, and yes, we don't necessarily need remakes for every game that's ever come out. But I'm more often than not willing to allow space for these remakes rather than just let the IP sit dormant until the end of time. So I want more. Give me an Infamous remake, a Mario 64 remake, or better yet, give me a Sly Cooper trilogy remake in the style of what we saw with Crash and Spyro. Imagine a Sly 1 with the same structure and gameplay of 2 and 3. Or even a Knights of the Old Republic remake, not that one, that has updated battle systems and visuals so as to not turn away new players. More likely than not, if they fall in love with it, they will likely go revisit the original anyways. That would be so much more interesting, in my opinion, than an old, closed-minded fan drawing a line in the sand and saying new players should be forced to play the older, outdated version without any way to find an accessible way into being a fan. I never would have played the original Final Fantasy VII without the remake. Dead Space would have been a distant, fond memory of a game I played long ago. Resident Evil would have probably lost one of their most die-hard fans if not for the remake. That's the thing about remakes that's often misconstrued, I think. The remake doesn't erase the original game, but rather open the door for more people to look back, do their homework, know their history, and actually uplift what came before. And while yes, we all would love new games to excite us and become classics in their own right, I would argue that with the state and scale of the industry, there is plenty of room for both.